everyone, to the D2 Speedcast, episode 21. We are a few days away from heading to Mid-Ohio for the third last scheduled race of the year. And be a doubleheader at Mid-Ohio, which will be a fun challenge. So, yeah, how are you doing, Darren?
Pretty good. Better now that they've finally officially announced that we're going to Mid Ohio. We were a bit on tenterhooks there for a few weeks, weren't we? Is it on? Is it not on? Is it
On
on?
Tentucks, that's
Uh,
new. I haven't heard that one before.
Tenterhooks, tenterhooks. I don't know. It's English saying. I probably screwed it up being a Yorkshireman, maybe, but. No, yeah, it was. We were a bit. We were hanging around there. Are we going to go? Can we book
Yeah.
hotels? Can we take the motorhome? Weren't we? And literally, it was over the weekend that we got the official word,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, we were kind of on, like I said, on pins and needles, sort of waiting to hear what was going on. Um, Everyone kept asking, "Well, what do we have an update? Do we have an update? Do we are we confirmed? Is it happening?" And finally, we got the email from the series that yep, we are good to go and we're going. Um,
Yeah. No, it's been. We were preparing kind of as normal, though,
yeah,
weren't we? Um, we went in after the St. Louis race to the shop, didn't we? And kind of had a preliminary debrief from St. Louis from the Oval that you'd obviously didn't do and didn't attend.
mm-hmm.
See how they kind of got on there. Good information, isn't it, for us for the future of possibly running there next year and keeping in with the team. Um, and then a couple of days ago, we were in and prepping for Mid Ohio. Cars all ready to
Yeah,
go.
it's been swapped over from see what the one that I'll be driving this weekend. It was the I believe it was it which of Tony's cars?
You know,
Which one was
I
it?
think it was the
It
Iowa
was the
car
Iowa
that
car.
he drove. Yes. So yeah, we did Road America. He had a special car for Indy or an Indy only car like
Yeah.
you did. You both had your individual cars prepped for Indianapolis for the 500, which was super nice. The guys were able to take a lot of time and prep those cars just specifically for the
Mm-hmm.
speedway rather than changing it back from road course, engine in, engine out, uprights, bodywork, all that kind of stuff. Never the most conducive to fine tuning the niceness of the car. Um, then that car was supposed to be after Road America that you drove it. You were supposed to do, and then it drove Iowa for Tony
Right.
Wright,
Correct.
and then in the Bryant colors, and then it was supposed to be. Then it got switched over straight away because Mid Ohio was supposed to be straight
Yeah,
away
that's
after
right.
that, wasn't it? So it was kind of already
Yeah.
done, but it was
Still a
just a couple of weeks
definitely
delayed.
logistical challenge for the guys to get all the get everything set up and swapped over. As
Yeah.
guys hopping in and out of the car. But yeah, we were in there a couple times this week, and I think everything's looking pretty good. I think we've definitely got our plan set for how we're gonna go about it for this weekend, and um, the team PR, because we always do we do a pre-event kind of press release and quotes and all that, and was thinking about something to like what's been the theme this year coming into the race weekends, and the one thing that we is different, I think, from a normal year is the amount of kind of development work we're doing on a race weekend, right? Like with
Yeah.
having basically no testing, right? For me, I had the 40 minutes in the car at uh, Coda, and then at least to be fair, a full day at Sebring, which is nice, but that
Yes.
which was 2 weeks before St. Pete, I think it was.
Yeah, then
And
you
then
had
it was
a
like
4 month break
we were
or
out of the car
whatever.
for so long, and normally
Yes.
we'd have racked up probably 6 or 8 test days by now throughout the
Yep.
season, right? It's
And continuous
and
races. I
racing
think
and
what you,
developing the car bit by bit. Whereas, we have 6 events or so, 5 events this year, and it's like, and one of them's an oval. So it's you're trying to learn a lot every session, right? And that's the thing. It's like we're putting a lot of like pressure on getting the car right and learning and developing. And it's, I think, from the driver's standpoint, that makes it challenging because you have to, for me, my job is to give the engineers kind of that accurate and correct feedback so we can get it right for the race.
Yeah, no, and that's it, right? The schedule is just so tight, and it's going to be exactly the same Mid Ohio this weekend with an hour practice basically after you've done an install check. You've got to leave some time at the end of the session for pit stop practice because
Mm-hmm.
the guy, the mechanics are in the same boat as you as the drivers with regards to.
There's
There
Poppy.
goes Poppy. Mom's probably
Yep,
home,
Nicole's
Nicole.
playing
So
kickball tonight. This is her kickball night, so
that's it. Wednesday night, you get the house to yourself with me and
yep.
you and Poppy. Right? So yeah, it's so tough, right? You've got to. How much time do you leave for practicing in and outs, practicing pit stops? You've got to practice pit stops. The mechanics have got to practice pit stops. I think you've seen a lot more mistakes this year, especially in those early races from the crews. Even the super experienced ones like the Penske
Yeah.
guys, and the Ganassi guys that have the funds to have a big crew and big flying guys and very experienced, and it's tough all round. And like you say, you've got to get up to speed. You've got to find, the normal race weekend. You've got 3 or 4 practice sessions to develop the car and your own driving style. The amount of time that we would have together, right, when we're looking through data, looking through video, specifically looking at a corner. We've got nearly no time to do that, have
No,
we?
no, and that's been, I think, a big challenge. Is just like you said, trying to get that, do the development, and for me too, as a rookie coming into IndyCar, there's a lot more that we can do on the car than we could
Yeah,
in the Road to Indy series, in lights, and definitely less so. And for me, it was Pro Mazda. Now it's Indy Pro 2000 and USF 2000. Those are much more spec, right? And but now we have a lot more open development that we can work on, and it is a bit of a double edged sword because I think we've talked about this before, where you can engineer yourself down the rabbit hole, right? So you gotta make those right calls, and that's what makes it challenging. That's why it's hard to
yeah,
be competitive.
yeah, and that's where you see the guys. I think this year probably more than ever. There's a couple of rookies up there, but even experienced guys like the Rosses, Powers, Pagno. He's been qualifying right next to you on a couple of road
Yeah,
courses. So you've got to we've got to give you a little bit of slack. Right beside you is an IndyCar champion
yeah.
who
Or I mean,
raced.
even the 500 qualifying results. I mean, that was a
Yeah,
big one, right? We had a couple winners behind us. It's like it's tough and it's competitive for sure. But
yeah,
no, I think
all the way.
yeah, I think we're feeling pretty good going into Mid Ohio. Like I said, we kind of know our direction that we want to go. At least we have a couple plans and some ideas of test items in our 1 hour 15-minute practice session. And but the big thing is that we're just using every session to learn. Right, each time we're on track is another opportunity to make the car better, and that's kind of the attitude we've been taking all year. Right, is that we're just trying to learn and keep making it better. Um, but yeah, I thought it'd be fun to before we go to Mid Ohio, and we can look at what happened last year. We've got let me pull up the highlights here. Second monitor. There it is. All right, there's the start.
Oh, what year was this?
Oh, this is not last year's race. That's a couple years ago. Hold on, I pulled up the wrong video.
You've been watching all the different
I
starts and
have.
replays.
There's
Good.
I clicked the wrong one.
That's
My bad. Got it. There we go. 2019.
is the audio on.
Yep. Maybe.
Early jump. Rossi tucks in behind, thinks to the outside. Now Newgarden is going to make a play for second. Pagenaud lingering back there. Right around the outside. There's Felix Rosenquist trying to get around Pagenaud.
That black and green car, Rosenquist went big, but there's trouble further back. That's James Hinchcliffe who's off in the grass, and they're all going to get checked up as he rejoins from the back.
And his team together with somebody there. But
so I think that's an interesting place to start. Is just this is a unique track because the start line isn't actually the start finish. I think probably because the pit straightaway is so short into turn one, and maybe turn one wouldn't be the safest place to do a start.
High speed corner there, and the carousel and the kink coming right there. I think it's tough enough in the junior formulas. You started there. I think your whole career.
We used to do it into turn four.
Did do a few couple. I think we did.
In lights. I think it was just the last couple of years they changed. I don't quite remember what the justification was. Oh, they're echoing. Sorry, I turned on the desktop audio for the video, but I can turn it off. There we go. Should be good. But I think I can't remember quite why that they changed it, but I do remember one year in USA 2000 there was an incident at the front of the field, and I think I was 10th or something. And there's 20-something cars, and it was a couple cars spun and just came back through the field. And I made it through the initial disaster. I got spun. Somebody in front of me, or no, either somebody hit me from behind, or I hit somebody. My wing went flying off, and landed 5-8 rows back. And then I'm going backwards down the front straightaway at Mid Ohio, and then it was Brandon Newey. And his nose is touching my nose, and we're going like this, and then he brakes, and I kind of peeled off, and I should have hit the brakes on the racetrack, but there were still cars coming, so I was just letting it roll off the track, and then I got on the grass and I couldn't stop, and then it dinged the suspension. But yeah,
you would have. They're generally very crazy stats, as you saw there.
Wild, yeah.
Even IndyCar guys, very, very experienced. You've got they trying to do it at potentially the safest part of the track. We're going to talk a little bit, I guess, about the physicality of Mid Ohio, and there being no straightaways to take a breath, basically. But even that turn one, you can see guys, it just bottlenecks up at every weekend at every different track. So. Mid Ohio is no different. It's tough, and there's just grass on the exit there, right? There's no real runoff for anything.
No, and that's a funny corner because when you're going down into it, it looks like you're going to go off a jump, right? It's kind of banked, but then there's there's a flat sand trap, but coming down into it, it looks like you're oh, if I miss my brakes on, I'm going to go flying. But it is better than that. But yeah, it's an exciting track, and like I said, it's super physical. The the lack of straightaways, right, is just how fast paced it is, and there's so many kind of rhythm sections.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks in North America. Yeah, it's one of my favorite. Am I gone?
No, you should be good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks, definitely in North America. Raced Champ Car right there, raced IndyCar there, I've raced sports cars there. And it is one of the most. It's generally there in the middle of summer, and Mid Ohio gets very humid in the middle of summer. I think you're going to be lucky. It's going to be a little bit cooler than maybe it was going to be a couple of weeks ago when they were originally planning to have the race. So it's. But yeah, the fact that there's really no straightaways in this type of speed of car. The pit straight is definitely not a straight. You're barely out of the corner before you're prepping for the next one, and even out of the keyhole coming down into turn 4, out of turn 2, effectively.
It's pretty busy, yeah. It comes at you fast,
and it's all blind. It's very physical. It's a high grip track as well. And these cars will be running the max downforce. So yeah, it'll be pretty tough for you for sure.
Yeah, they have shortened the races by 15 laps, so there's two 75 lappers instead of 90. It would be the standard length here. But no, it's gonna be tough. I think we'll been working hard with the guys at PitFit, and we're all feeling ready physically, but it's always tough to you know you're going in, you know you're going into a challenge, right? And it's driving one of these cars at the limit is hard at any track.
And then put on top of the physicality of the car and the track, you've got a practice, a qualifying, a race on day one, qualifying and race on day two. It was tough at Road America for you, right? So this is going to be tougher for sure, just because of that.
Yeah, I think even like Road America, the first day was fine, but it was like I woke up the second day and I was just like I'm fatigued. Like I was just like it wasn't like one thing, it was just like if like I was at 100% on day one, I was at like 80% or 85, right? Like you don't have time. Your body doesn't have time to recover, right?
And your mind as well.
It's mental. It's we got a new follower. Thanks, Booker Photo. I think I know who that is.
Yeah, and you're trying to make the car better. You're trying to work on your driving. You're not just having those sessions and then you're done, right? We're working hard for hours afterwards, and you have a workout before every time you get in the car as well, right? So which is more physicality as well, but. Yeah, and historically, this race, you can talk about the yellow flags as well, Dalton, that we talked about this week.
Yeah, there's the lack thereof. It's
normally that's a bit of a rest for the driver, isn't it?
Well, yes, and I think historically this has been a race that has gone green. Maybe the 75 lap, more of a sprint, will bring out the aggression. Plus it's the last few rounds of the championship. You've got some heavy hitters that aren't where they want to be in the point standings. That might be driving aggressively, I'm sure. But it's historically a clean race, and that makes it tough because it's just one run to the finish.
Yeah.
But the flip side being that it's super hot in the aero screen under yellow. So
that's a very good point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about what air duct combination are we going to run, and I think they're going to run the maximum scoop on the top and the biggest helmet vent fan, and we tried that at Indy, right?
It was too much at Indy, which was crazy.
Blowing helmet off.
And literally, like you would feel, and it wasn't from the aerodynamic forces even, and I think it was the Arias like sealed up so well that like when we plug in like a leaf blower, like a mini leaf blower, basically into the thing to like give you some air when you're in pit lane, and literally the helmet would go like, and it was like you'd feel it instantly, like just even with the leaf blower. And then you get on track at 200 miles an hour, and it's just like after the first practice, my jaw was like hurting because it was pulling my helmet up like this, and you're pulling your head back down. I was like, this is crazy.
No, and that's what used to happen at the 500 if you didn't have any wickers or any air deflection system on your helmet. I mean, you probably experienced
this is one of the lights helmets, the duckbill, and then one of those wickers on the back there.
Yeah, so the duckbill there is for the air coming into the cockpit from the front. I mean, not needed now, but that keeping the chin down a little bit, basically. Oh. Yeah.
Hi, KC Driving 59. Thanks for following. Thanks for hosting. I don't quite. Okay, is that that's not a raid, is it? I don't quite know. I'm not. Well, we were talking before the show with Darren's son actually about streaming platforms, and something new we're doing today. Actually, we're on Streamlabs. I have this. It's going to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So if you want to watch us concurrently, I guess you could do that. But there's something on Twitch called raids where people come and host your video or something like that. I don't know what that means, but it'd be like if Connor raided our channel. He twitches a lot. Like he'd bring all of his followers and they'd all come say hi or something like that.
Oh, okay. So maybe we've got a few more viewers. I guess maybe.
Thanks, Casey Driving, for hosting.
Good deal. Ask any questions you want about motor racing. If you're new to IndyCar or racing drivers and engineering, STEM, Dalton's your man. I can listen along with you.
Yeah, we went on a big tangent about material science and like fracture mechanics last episode.
I know we're gonna have to get some people in from Dallara and and Firestone we can get the guys involved with as well, can't we?
Yeah,
so
I think we have some exciting guests lined up for the in the coming episodes. Nothing we're gonna announce today, but we'll definitely stay tuned on my Twitter and Instagram when we do the weekly announcement. We'll have some cool guests coming on, so stay tuned for that for the rest of the year. But yeah, kind of I think that's the main story points from Mid-Ohio. Really, it's gonna be physical. It's gonna be mental. It's gonna be not as hot as it normally would be, but it might rain. When I checked recently, there was possibility of rain, so that could add a fun new factor to play with. I haven't driven one of these cars in the wet. It was a bit wet at COTA, but that was we were still on slicks. And again, that was like I got 20 laps. So that doesn't count.
Yeah. It was mainly dry, wasn't it? You have wet tires on yet.
No, I have never experienced the Firestone wets. The Coopers were a very hard compound in Indy Lights. I don't know what the Firestone wet is like. Would assume it's softer, but we'll see.
The feeling is for IndyCar drivers is that it is a harder compound than what maybe they were used to in the past. Maybe when there was tire wars between Goodyear and Bridgestone and Firestone, etc. They were having a tire war, so they were going softer and softer. But I think for you, I think it's going to be awesome compared to what you had in the one-make formula of Indy Lights, where they just wanted it to last a long time, basically. So, but yeah, it's going to be who rolls out of the trucks the best. The guys feel pretty confident with the setup from what they had last year. They thought Mateus could have possibly got into the Fast Six.
He was quick in practice. He was top 8 in a couple of practices. So we think we have a decent car. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the engineers are definitely understanding what you want as a driver more. Coming from Road America, we went a direction in the second race, which you didn't like, did you?
No.
So sometimes going that way is actually good because you can come back and go the other way.
Yeah. I mean, you have to know what works for you and what doesn't, and the team's learning kind of what I like, and I'm learning to be more kind of direct and more kind of forceful with what it is that I need out of the car, and that's an important part of learning this.
Yeah, the more confidence you have in, okay, I said I wanted this change, and they gave it to me, and I went faster. The more times happens, the more confident you get, and the more confident the engineers get in what you're saying, and you can just keep going further and further and faster as the years go.
So if you were watching before, I hopped on Twitch for like 10 minutes before the show. The I Racing was just down for their big season update, and it was a big one because there's a couple of new cars, the Dallara P2 car and the team. Oh no, this hand. The Team Chevy Corvette C8R, and I hopped on just to give it a spin. And
what'd you think?
I liked it quite a bit, but I've got their little promo video, so I want to play a bit of that.
Play that because it looks nice. It was a pace car at the 500.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So I think that's the real car, and then
Yep.
the graphics got really good.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's nice. That's a nice looking race car, right?
It sure is for a GT car. Going. It's a lot of the Corvette, enthusiasts and purists, should we say? I think we're maybe a bit disappointed when they went away from the front engine car, but that's in race car terms and modern day cars, the mid-engine, right, where you have the engine right over the rear wheels, is so much better for performance, for handling. You can do a lot more engineering-wise with the chassis and suspension, right, and weight distribution is a lot better. And they were up against the competition of likes of the Acura NSX, obviously the Ferrari. They all looking very similar now. So yeah, it's nice to see that type of car.
And
sure.
that was kind of a surprise ad because they had been pushing the Dallara P2 car pretty hard, but I think they had the Corvette as kind of their ace in the hole. That they were kind of it was sort of the smoke screen for the big announcement kind of surprise. But no, the car felt great. The interior model is really nice. Cockpit looks really cool. So
you were using your VR.
Yeah, this guy. So and I haven't been on iRacing a ton since the end of the iRacing series. I've been like just before races doing a bit of like prep. But the thing is, there isn't Indy GP. Like they have the F1 layout, but not the current IndyCar layout. So I didn't do it before our race and we were down in Charlotte on the Chevy Sim, and I did a bit before Road America and done some for Mid Ohio, but I haven't been like racing or doing a whole lot. But no, and like I don't normally drive a ton of the GT cars, but yeah, it was super fun. You can definitely feel the weight. It's got compared to to an open wheel car compared to the Indy car, the baseline setups. You can just feel the car has more mass. It eats curves a lot better than an open wheel car does. So, but yeah, no, it's modeled really well, and I think it'll be fun to play around with that for sure.
Yeah, and iRacing does a lot of the real iRacing racers. That not necessarily pro racing drivers, like pro iRacing guys, do the endurance racing a lot. They love the long races, and those cars are modeled so well. They use them a lot.
I think it's a better experience. Like even just like the 5 laps I did at Mid Ohio, it was like the car is getting loose, throwing it around, and like you can catch it a lot easier. Like and we talked about this where it's like as the the downforce goes up and the corner speeds go up, like your window just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. The peak's higher, right? But the width is really narrow. So the amount of wiggle room you have for understeer, oversteer, the car being off balance, it's
feeling edge,
on
right?
the edge is like
it's difficult.
Yeah, like you just can't replicate. Or you can't, but like it is much harder for a person that isn't that experienced in sim racing, like me and most of the other IndyCar guys. We're not like there's a couple that are really into it, like Sage and I think Sage, maybe Felix, and a few other guys like do it a lot. But you're relying so much on visual and like the game's audio cues, which like if anyone watching has tried iRacing, like you can hear the tires going. You can't hear the tires in an IndyCar. The motor is so loud, right? Like if you're hearing tires squealing, something real bad's going on.
Yeah, so maybe I think that's probably a very valid point. The GT cars have got much lower limit and much easier to control when you go beyond that limit. Whereas an IndyCar, like you say, it's going to snap and then go, and you can't get to that. You can't get to that limit. Whereas when the limit's a lot lower, and
you can
when
recover
you go over,
from it a little easier.
You're not just going to crash. Yes.
So I think that's what frustrated people. Like some of the IndyCar guys were pretty vocal about that. There was some frustration during the iRacing thing, and they were like, "Oh, it's a setup. It's the tire model," and it's like, I mean, it's more that it's an open wheel car on a sim, and the limit is probably representative of what it's like to drive in real life. But you have so many more tools at your disposal in real life. Like you're feeling the car move around.
So many more cues.
Yeah, so it's easy. It's not easier, but it's like as far as our training, it's like it makes more sense, right? We're not gamers that are quite as attuned to like the fast twitch kind of stuff. So, but no, I think it'll be a fun car, and like the exterior model looks great. The only gripe I would think I had, and like again, like 5 laps, so take it with a pinch of salt. Is just and this could be the headphones I'm using. It could be iRacing in general, but like the audio isn't like I don't know. For me, the audio in the sim doesn't do it like doesn't do the real thing justice, and maybe that's because there's like the vibrations of the car coming through the seat, and like it's a more full body experience in real life. Like you get on the guy, you feel it, right? Like
you feel the
feel
sound.
everything,
I know.
right? Whereas it's just coming through here, and like I mean you can get those butt kickers for your seat. Maybe that would make it a bit better, get the bass going because it I don't know like. Even the IndyCar to a certain extent, like the audio just sounds like somebody tearing paper. Is like how I describe it. Like it's just not like it doesn't have the full spectrum. It doesn't give that full like bass to high frequency experience. And like I'm not like a weird audiophile, but like I just think that the audio could be an area of improvement. Maybe that's my equipment too, but.
And that's again a reason why if you raced on iRacing for time and just spent hours and hours and hours on it and got very attuned to those individual cues that were just a sound or a visual aid. Once you got those, you could be on the limit, but it would take so long and so many hours. And that's where the guys that drove iRacing like every day, they're used to
playing the game. And that's the thing. It's like there's real racing, and then driving a car on a real racetrack, and then iRacing is an abstraction of that, right? So it's a model based on the the tire model, the track model, the car model. So to make that model commercially accessible for a consumer, like you have to like take some assumptions and kind of simplify some things, and because absolutely. Like there are probably more, well there definitely are more true to life sims as far as like the Dallara sim, the Chevy sim, the Honda sim that we use in IndyCar, but there are also custom programs that are have a whole lot of development work and that require a team of engineers to run, right? Whereas this is like a commercial software package that you can download and run for like $100 a year. So it's not
Yeah. It's got it. Yeah, it's very good for what it is for sure.
Atlantic Cat, is there still talk of having an IndyCar is there still talk of IndyCar doing an official iRacing series in the off season? People have like dropped hints about it. I think Jay Fry mentioned something, and then Rossi had like a funny tweet about that they'd have to make it a contractual like requirement or something to get him to do it.
There was a lot of regular veterans that didn't do very well in that series because they didn't.
He was just having a good time, giving everyone a hard time.
Exactly, but he spends a lot of time on it, and he always has. So, but the guys that don't want to spend 20 hours a day getting ready for a race, they have lives and wives and kids and girlfriends and trying to do other things. It's maybe they'll do.
I'm sure there'll be something. Like I would be. I'll put myself out on a limb here. Although someone will quote this, and when it happens, I can be like, oh, you were wrong. But I don't think that there'll be like a TV product like there was before, right? Like I don't think there'll be the IndyCar iRacing NBC off-season like challenge. Like maybe they will, and we can play this on the broadcast and all laugh. But I don't see that happening. What I could see happening is like we've kind of done like an official streaming sort of do a six race series and maybe more bit more loose because like there's no